For those of you who are online, can you hear me talking?
Yes, I can, Nick.
Cool. Thank you, sir. Is the text on the slides backwards on the web?
No, I can see it.
Okay,
Perfectly.
good. Good, good. We'll give everyone who else is coming in person a couple minutes and then we'll get started. Two minutes. I'm gonna wait for Hannah to come back in. Thank you for joining us. For those of you who made it in person and those who are joining us online as well. My name is Steve. I'm with the County of Vernonburg. We have been working with the Otsego County Planning Department as well as Canada since April to develop a broadband survey. Today we're going to go over some of the details there and share some of the things that we've learned this far. We're going to give you an overview of the technical assistance project that we've been working on. Maria is going to present some of the survey results that we've gotten thus far. And then share a grant that we recently received for the county from this state. They notified us. It's good to be able to get that here. But then we'll have some questions and answers there. So this project is being funded by USDA funds. The USDA has a technical assistance program where rural communities apply to have folks come in and do an analysis of their broadband infrastructure. They're looking at where are the gaps in the community, and for those, what are the gas and assistance with primary. Very important that you guys join us today, and for those of you who have already taken a survey, have an opportunity to scan the QR code and take that in. It's very important that when these studies are conducted, that the community is involved as possible. You're going to do the experiences that you have, the quality and lack of internet access for mobile service, which I think everyone here can relate to. So thank you very much. And this is the second of 4 that we're going to be doing in-person session. We are going to continue until May next year. That we so it won't just be a report that is for myself, it will be an actual content that will organization. Each one have to be you guys have. We provided on the project implementation earlier this year. We're still conducting the needs assessment, which is we're talking about. We're going to go over infrastructure mapping data with you. Once we select the mapping data and input from the community, we start looking what areas need service. What technology would be a good fit to provide service there. And then we'll look into funding strategies that what the things that are available in the portal chat. The stakeholder engagement piece continues throughout the duration of the project. And then it's great when we close it up, deciding to have and I will hand it on to Maria.
Hi everyone. And we're here to discuss my name is Maria, technical consultant at Vernonburg Group for more than I worked with the networks work. I also teach computer science and figures there's to setting up here. We're recommending consulting company making sure communities have access to my focus is a bit more on the adoption side, how you can make connectivity not just accessible, but actually more affordable when you have the skills and devices. All right, so as Nick mentioned, we've been running a survey to basically understand from user perspective what's your experience with connectivity right now. Build and this particular space in terms of different expansions between the tower. So the goal of the survey is to identify connectivity going to the county. And we're looking at it both in terms of the binary gap and also in terms of the gap. So the goal of the binary gap is to taking various available based on community responses. And then the more nuanced stuff is where internet is available, how is it perceived in needs, both in terms of the applications that you offer, in terms of how it's perceived as cost benefit from a benefit perspective. Were you able to access the internet because this is very important? And then the opportunities that was because of community. This is not just going to be a summary of the responsibilities we got here. The reason we want to collect information from the community is so that this can become a basis that can inform the council of what it stands and need to the house that exists. And then it's to understand so it's really getting a baseline. So in terms of the surveys completed so far, we're really grateful to the super active community and turnout here. So we're running this Thanksgiving. This is pretty difficult. We have always been just a couple of days. And so we've got about 260 viewers. And so majority of those, all of those respondents, 94% have access to some of the connected device. The people that experience in terms of the composition among the respondents, we see majority of them households with 2, 3, and more than 4 family members. And then I think the biggest distribution how both spreads for the average is with the majority of those who's we feel that this is not just the region.
Number 4.
Yes, it is just Otsego County, and the way it's with the paper is the online. Reach back and books.
It's been publicized because the only information I have on this article was the Daily Star. This is I feel like I'm very plugged into things. I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on social media.
Okay.
And it's like 263 people. No one in my community knows about this.
So the survey is on the county's website, and we've also been working with the county to promote it in different Facebook groups, which you mentioned that you're not on Facebook, which is understandable. We also recognize doing a survey about broadband for people who don't have internet access couldn't be all online. So we worked with the library systems to get physical copies put in there. And Tammy, I don't know if they're all fixed.
I look at Prince Copper, Stagecoach. I mean, I look at it.
Well, Cherry Valley, the actual like downtown.
I look at it. I did not see that. I was walking there right now. I just.
If there's any more. And that is Mohawk Valley Economic Development District. We say everything. So our side of things is working with small governments, different municipalities. Some of our team has had success with just that. With Cherry Valley specifically, yeah, that's another pain point that was included in the original USDA application regarding lack of service from Otsego County. So there's a few there.
Yeah, I mean, Cherry Valley, I think, has broadband out the box, but it's what you get the roast from 165. It's entire probably 5 miles, nothing. No internet, no towers, no.
Right.
And that's fine.
Are you, before we leave here today, I want to get your contact information, and that way we can figure out how to coordinate with you specifically to help get the survey out to your community in particular.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to take a slide. I just want to provide brief highlights of what we're seeing so far in terms of that. So when the respondents, they indicate that they have vast majority is actually only 87%. Below 100% makes it community. So we already see a 13% connectivity gap. If I was having problems, 50% of respondents here do not have connectivity. This is connectivity in Europe, so digging a little bit more into those 87% that indicate that they do have content. Only 33% of the respondents and so this is just a strong indicator and something that's been known in the literature to various degrees that even though internet is available in rural areas, it is not necessarily the kind of internet that will bring the user experience and so this is part of what we're looking to address here majority of those who have it, but are not particularly happy with it, indicate that they have sometimes they have to use limited data caps. Depends on 43% when you're half of respondents indicate that this to attend this identity. There's two community that are all right, so drilling down more on these cost issues, there's there's about 2% from what I get brackets, which is and so really how this translates to the internet experience because of high costs is it is a barrier for portion of the rely on service at home. And it has forced some 43% of the respondents to downgrade or cancel their service altogether because of the off points. So, and this affects the community's ability to access applications that are not rocket science. So what the community likes to go to when they access the internet, web browsing area, run almost everyone, somewhat social media, and a lot of virtual meetings. So staying connected where you can't travel in person. And so this is just a word from the open-ended sort of what do you use the internet for. And you can see a lot of really, big human rights services. The level of online. Things like health, things like education, things like doctor's visits, banking, paying bills, or just and so to me, necessary and the context, the way this question was worded was particularly asking this opportunity to just social benefits in terms of this opportunity that was maybe to populate that really opportunity in social welfare. Because this is a start, right? Lots of community stuff. And so, again, this is highlights. We're still receiving and processing more detail. The survey, we hope next time we come to it, you will have more shades of the divide. But what we're indicating so far is that there's a wide range of connectivity that needs to be addressed throughout the community. The percentage still, if I don't have it all, 13% of the through the largest percentage were different by because of the quantity of physical or more than a combination of the two. So it needs to be done in order to address this. This is the obviously cover a lot of areas. And for areas that are not is not on par with what it should be, increase coverage to have increase the ability to rely on that also activity to be supported and because of the available technologies, so not the community that is connected with technologies, and then subsequent providers and so this is a hotline to the survey. And if there's any ways that we can speak with the we'll learn how to reach you better. Based on previous problems, it takes about 8 minutes to fill out depending on how much time. All right, and so I'll turn it over to Nick.
I'm going to get into some mapping information, but I'll leave this up for a couple of minutes before I start to study those slides. Before I do map the dots that how we got here as a country. So the FCC at the federal level works with internet service providers and asks them to report where they're providing service with their infrastructure. One, they do it at the census tract level. One of the things that presented on the was a census tract can be 4, 5, 7 miles long with 20, 30, or 50 houses. If one house in the census tract had internet service, then the entire tract was considered served. And obviously that's not accurate.
Providers. What is it they actually did? Where they deployed?
The limited experience on the ground is what we all know, that there were few stats. The people had to stay at home on the inaccuracies of the national outbreak. Things have gotten better. These are August 2025 numbers showing served homes, underserved, and unserved. So let me give you the definition of those. So if you're unserved, that means that you don't have any internet access that's 25 megabits by 3 megabits. If you have that or anything lower, you're considered unserved. If you have over the 25 by 3 but less than 100 megabit download, then you're considered underserved. And if you have 100 or more, according to what the internet service providers are selling you, you're considered served. I threw some caveats in there that I'll get to in a second to give you some context. So that's what the green, blue, and red dots are. The yellow areas are pots of federal funding that have been issued to internet service providers to bring service to these areas. When RDOF was funded, some providers are taking longer to meet those commitments than others. Part of the issue that comes with that is if the federal government puts out grant funding and this area already has a commitment from RDOF funds, then the federal government won't give additional funds for that area, even though the internet service provider may be 4 or 5 years away from actually rolling out the infrastructure. States have been able to find ways to navigate that issue. And we'll get into some of that here in a little bit.
Are you counting like Dish, the Starlink providers? Like who's defined as a provider?
So
There you are.
Registered, the companies that are registered with SEC, and close to the SEC.
this location where the blue dot is, we're providing HughesNet internet service, and that is underserved. Again, it's under.
Oh, the sound is terrible.
You can do that and it doesn't.
Yeah,
Online. Was there a question online?
if you mind saying something. Not the third slide, but the last half of the. So again, starting with
The audio is keep unclear online with the feedback. Maybe. Oh.
So again, this is kind of the starting point of information that the internet service providers have provided to the SEC. We have to get all that information, get a lens of what things look like. One of the things that we also take a look at is broadband competition. Any red dot is an area where there are no providers that are providing adequate internet service. The yellow dot you see, with the providers have reported to the FCC that there's at least one internet service provider that's providing. Notice that we continue to go down. There are fewer blue dots. These would be homes that have at least two providers that are offering adequate internet service, and green, even fewer. This is what we were just talking about, where an internet service provider has reported that they offer service in the area, but there's a company called Ookla that will run speed test on the network. So the red boxes that you see have green dots. The green dot says, according to the FCC maps, this home is served with adequate internet. But the speed test data for that area disputes that. One of the things that allows us to do is go to the establish the limits. So again, when it comes to directing funds, all we did was take a look at what the federal maps look like. We talked about that already. Sorry. Sorry. But it gives us the opportunity to work with the state to set out those locations. So then when we decide to allocate funding, even though we've got green dots in these areas with red squares, we can say, look, despite what the internet service provider is communicating, the user experience on the ground is different.
Question?
The info data that's coming in, are you pulling that just directly from Ookla versus like the consumer choosing to send data?
I'm not going to direct it from Ookla. They give
this green dot is in the middle of the square, but this is not the actual house. They give us a range within like I don't know what stage it is.
Yeah, it's both identity as well as location, anonymized within a grid. So the green dot is FCC specific. Ookla is.
And is Ookla the only provider of this data? Because I know there's no speed test app.
Ookla has the so I'm going to there. So we to put it in feedback from the community.
We'll also take a look at actual usage data compared to again, going through this process is what allows us to
particularly identify areas within the county that there are gaps. The subdivision that's sourcing.
So if you folks, sorry, if you folks are interested in running local speed tests, those are going to ultimately show up on our colleagues' tool set. So we can be even more granular about. Yeah. Yeah, and eventually to here. So it's not immediate, but ultimately it can inform mapping and making a stronger case.
But I want to do, how did we get here from a mapping perspective, and then what are we working with your government to do to instead of just going off on that.
Question. So, I so that was 0.5. So technically, that's what we offer. So, I also field check, not to come to the house, and we track the connection, and then a little like 0.5 more on the download. So from like 2 is into the network, and then from there, it turns. So the recommendation would be as follows. And then we'll do that for the school and growth will be spread out. I would say, we're going to spread out, if we can make it about maybe 300 feet away, and it's like not being speaker, you're speaking to us. And 300 feet away from a kind of world. Now, is 500 times traffic. They have the one vehicle. So, what I've done is I've tried different innovations. I considered using that to go with it. I had a private stats. We would okay, it gave me about 40, down 5 minutes now. We did Walmart 2 years ago. So anything slow or anything like that, it's not well. Maybe I was doing that. The increment is HVAC Wi-Fi that I got from the on that is supposed to be about 100 minutes and about 4,200 minutes. Those are the key tests that you're referring to, and I've got different speeds. I've also called the license. If you have any questions, I'll try to help. But yeah, so I guess it's not that you find how many things that have one. That's the forced extent. I definitely would like to see who you're talking about and really, really kind of energy to And then once you get on the mobile chain, then you can connect from there. It's a long, convoluted procedure, but just, you know. And I was part of the wall first, and I had his book. And he was one of the others in there, so every little clip. Yeah. That comes right at the top.
My question on the hoopla is, if I run the hoopla from where I am, right, and I'm on this property, and I have good service, but I'm paying for that service. The hoopla is going to say, oh, you have really good service where you're at, and so it's going to actually send a misrepresentation of, it's going to say, oh yeah, you're fine where you are, like, you know, Pleasant Grove, no big deal, and then.
So we recognize our federal account for.
Nick, someone unmuted on Teams. Is there a question online? All right, if there are questions, please feel free to speak up. Otherwise, I'll assume that this was. Yeah, or you can type them on the chat if you don't feel like speaking up.
Piece of good news that I wanted to take some time to share with you. I mentioned that we started this project with the county in April. In addition to the 12 months of the work that we described that we're doing, we're also responding real time as we see opportunities come up. We do put a mobile grant program. The grant office recognized that they're so we're going to address that. They put together some funds that are entities to apply to try pilot project and different business models to try to address that gap. So we're working with them in Otsego County, we were able to put together an application, and then a few weeks ago, they So the goal is to set up a business model where an internet service provider or a mobile carrier is not leading the effort. The government entity or economic development entity is driving the effort. If the local organization understands the gaps and needs of the community, other local aspects of the community is also an issue. It will be a 3-year project. It is a $1.03 million project. We were able to put 194,000 in in-kind contributions. The local department is providing access to the temporary for free. The community is new. Funds as well. And the group, we discounted our base to help implement this project as a way to provide any kind of contribution as well. If not for that implementation, the company will have to work on project in the state to contribute to that $143,000 that they do. So it's a very good way where a local organizations to come together. Is cellular technology to the outdoor cellular coverage, and then working with the different companies to use the device put on their home and give them Wi-Fi apps that they can connect their cell phones to use cellular service as well. When we connect all, put out the program, indoor coverage and penetration was something that we are realize. So we can create it and we just want to have to use a full stack solution, and they did. And as we go through the process, we're going to be documenting everything that we do, putting together a list of building materials, so that way, in the family or somewhere else, if anyone wants to do the same thing, we just have it installed in our program, one of the other aspects as well. Really, saying we need to documentation. Overall, summary of the funds that I mentioned before, the total project cost, the grant that we were awarded from the state, and then the local in-kind contribution match. The object is to lower the cost to the recruitment team right on T-Mobile. So we put this on 1 hour, we put equipment on it, you can have tons of credits equipment from us without having to do any of the administrative. All of the tasks that some of the larger companies stack everything inside too, we're not. And again, we'll be leading the administration of the grant itself. Within the group, we have a multidisciplinary team. Then we really have a lot of hands-on experience using wireless technologies. David, who is our VIS person, also does that as well. And then Uman is another one of our engineers. I'm still from Australia, but Uman and Marty, I forgot one more. That stuff that is very, very smart, experienced guys. We will have a lot of document the events that are being needed to have the community. So we've been providing the technical piece of the overseeing the construction and whatnot. University of Albany will be helping with the research and documentation, and continue to help as far as navigating all of the regulatory permits and things like that. So again, local food matters.
Question?
Yes, please.
In your accessibility figures in coding accessibility, I noticed in the last 6 months, definitely in the last 3 months, there is an expansion of two-factor verification. And everyone's asking for two-factor verification. So if you don't have a cell phone, you're back to holding on to the wire water on at the same time. Something happens with the electric.
That is
This multiplies or divides or it compounds the ability problem where not everybody has everybody has coverage. You know that on the other house, and they don't call me the other level 14, you know.
T-Mobile has a partnership with Sterling, and what it does is it draws off the Sterling satellites. So there's not about T-Mobile coverage. You would find them around outside and they like 2 weeks. They're going to see what works out for you, and they do
yeah.
It just doesn't work. We have a cell phone. If we drive up to the side of the mountain, I can get the code. But I maybe we're doing 16 minutes.
It's like, for example, duo or other things, you look to get 5 to 10 minutes. over. We're trying to hold that. And then, we're more, I do know personally.
My calls, so. But I mean, in terms of calculating accessibility,
Yeah.
this is becoming inclusive.
Yes, sir.
That is a very good point.
For some reason, AOL, yes. On the when I get to the spec, to get to the because the cat.
That's all.
Where we run the other.
Yeah.
But you said, you can only record 2 links.
Yeah.
That is definitely something.
No, it is, and the reason these two-factor authentications are a thing is because it's increasingly not safe on the internet. So you do these things to make sure that, yeah, you indeed want to transfer this amount of money or whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah, but it's a good point, you know, how protected you are on the internet. Really depends on how multimodal your connectivity is. Yeah.
We're on the downslope and go like this.
Yeah.
So
The project we were discussing. Taking into consideration some of those things in the angles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, give me an idea, like, is this gonna be like a 2-year thing you said, before you get a tower, is this gonna be a project that you have to?
So
we gotta find out where to place it and everything?
No, sir. No, we are going to application. And the project is going to be looking. 3 months that we really had 3 years to do. I had to come on for everything to do.
So the project will start then.
Anything that Connect All Office informed us, we should go to other warning. Next week we'll meet with meeting at their office that we'll be working with.
you can have the road location for 8 months. Yeah. It's nearby.
Yes, sir.
So, my name is Jimmy Potter, I'm a county legislator from Otsego County. We're glad to you that was facing thing.
Yes.
And I'm gonna thank him. That's it, for all the work they've done. And it's always, gotta say that, all that.
Thank you.
Then when there's no people.
The same way that we stood up with the page for the web page. This project and it will
We have like a frontier set up right on DSL. And I took the survey on there, when they asked you, for broadband and things, and they say it's not available in the area. And then one of the frontier guys came to our house, the repair guys, and he was telling me they went run 5 o'clock cable at Route 4, and they run it somewhere by Wilbur Hill, they run it, but he said they just bypassed Blue to the road and it goes out, probably because of the accessibility, the pending, you're going through trees, woods, swamps.
Right.
I think it's actually more based on how many houses.
Yep.
Are on that because
They also continue to do the Village Riversville, and they're going along Vale Street and 51 and Spring Street, but bypass the Buffalo Connector Street, so they're going customers on them. And so it's even less about the actual service. If you have a power line going to your house, they can run a fiber line. That's not really a major difficulty, it's just a matter of expense and where they're choosing to gain their customers. And I also have a sense that there's a lot of elderly customers that don't even want internet or don't even know what internet is that they should be getting. And so a lot of them feel uncomfortable from talking to some of them, their comfort and reading what they're actually getting. I think that ultimately Frontier is actually helping customers.
Doesn't break down all the time.
To be an investigation on those things.
That's okay. Wow. Yes.
And your power. I'm like trying to get one bar. And luckily we can like put it on the router, we can do Wi-Fi home. We still have our thing on. And because it's Frontier, anything, and they're not local anymore. The name that comes with local office, used to get a local office. And they're not even in the area either local. And so when I call, I'm talking to some other country, they don't even, they promise me everything. Oh yes, you got it. And then 9 days later, we don't have our landline. And then when your power goes out, they say, oh, we'll text you. I can't. Yeah. So you start and you become more and more irate. And I'm driving down, I used to play with my thing for 5 minutes trying to get somebody to help me. And so, and then so there's no landline, you can't use your cell phone. And then you think, well, if there's an emergency in the middle of the night, I've got to drive 5 miles to the night. And then you got to call 911. Yeah. And they have the same trouble, and so if you want to get a landline, and Frontier said they won't give the landline, it's now it's fiber optic.
No.
And so I said that makes no sense.
Why don't I have a
Use the same way.
Yeah.
If you want a landline,
Yeah.
I think what I'm on a lot of stuff it was frustrating that your life is always been together.
Yeah.
And this is all happening around you. I didn't know they were running that on Route 4 and that's when they cut past our road and had and so you're just constantly trying to catch up, you're always behind. And it is expensive, and now I do that just right before the 15 years. Well, that's not even an option, you have to power it. And so that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like $300 for your phone and internet and everything. We're going to see and you don't get very. Now we have a satellite dish trying to get some things.
And every time there's a storm, Frontier shuts the internet.
Yeah.
Because I was told they can't get parts anymore. The system's so old, the DSL system, they can't even get parts for
It
it.
took 90 years to get something, and it's not. No, but we look where we live,
Yeah.
there, but it's just that the roads. And we just, I just kind of think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking with the planning code, they were explaining how they got to the point where they were looking for someone to figure these things out. And we were explaining that they phone calls and there's so when they had funding to do something that would be closer to everyone has been fully engaged on. Interact with, even in the morning. Gave a letter of support and commitment. So, the European leadership is listening and is working to yeah, I don't think for $30. And then you do right by calling and then help you go to there and you know, people are coming to one house, they're really good at helping but I'm not going to wait in line yet until we make grams, you know. Up here, stuff like that. I'm not going to go with that because you need to do strictly the city and I think up here.
This is just a suggestion, you know, I listen to all of the fire department, you know, and you get a whole lot of advice from all of your neighbors and everybody different. I don't know if there would be funding available, but I think it would be wonderful if a trusted resource that they can contact to say, what is the best solution for where I am right now? And it's going to look all of these solve. I mean, I'm done with Frontier. Like, I'm not done where to turn. You know, I'm not going to give up our timeline, right? You know, so, you know, I like, and I what they're all using, and they all kind of for different reasons. They have technical support. I'm not going to the grocery store because that's how you're going to go. No, I understand all that. So I'm just saying, I mean, you know, on the side, I think that would be a great resource. It's beautiful.
Butternuts Alliance all provided a letter of support, which is really helpful for that connectable application. I was kind of that under the bus because they, as a result of some of our sessions this week with Vernonburg, one of the ideas that we're thinking about, and it's still a teeny tiny idea, but it's there, is having that resource of people. And then asking us as a facilitator that you call them and say, hey, here's this information. Now what? Taking that further for communities, having them get together, you talk about their shared solutions, problems, dilemmas. And then another step further with something that MVED already does, it's called the Brownfields Developers Summit. I know like a day and a half long event. And you're taking that type of model and bringing broadband into it. So you're right on track with us.
Yeah.
Having someone who could troubleshoot and also maybe trying to you know, my friends have some pretty I think we also stupid this stuff and we're ripped off from these companies that are just because they don't because nobody knows the questions to ask or how to deal with this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not even if I'm here. Because there was a part of that switching and saving 400
Hey, Nick. So online, the question is, will there be a transcript because the audio you know, from all the discussions? Do we know where?
Excuse me, Otsego County and why. The website is on the screen. At the bottom. That'll be up next to
When is the survey again?
The 31st.
what was written for. Well, let's see.
And then also, if I wanted to take around my neighbors, I could do that.
Yeah.
That's too. Run it, whatever, you're right, that's, like, I don't know, whatever you want to do. I don't have a, so, either of us, we can get that happy to work. And then.
Email, broadband, at Otsego County NY.gov, to get information that go to. And once we know. We'll send out emails and. Hopefully get it.
We can get an email on the next meeting.
Speaking of that, the plan is we had the first meeting in Cooperstown, second meeting is here. We want to have the next two and other part of the county too, for unity. People to work all the way to Cooperstown for meeting. And if you don't have any connectivity, are you going to run an online meeting? So thinking that you come down from, Sheridan and Roseville, there's a good spot up that way. That's all good spot is to hold a meeting, right? Seriously, let us know because I.
But you might not be able to broadcast it. I think Carrie Brown, diligent Carrie Brown. We're not really all about that, like incorporate all the ones we done. And we don't have any. So, they got everything. We're feeling like water right now. So,
any questions or comments from anyone else? Raising anything you want.
Other than handing out survey, how can local municipalities best assist?
Setting up some time to check with something on the record.
Run UCLA tests. UCLA tests. Those can be good just to make a stronger fine point on, yeah, we need this.
One of the things that are on my stuff is helpful is events of any notifications, and they even like put about at the coffee shop and the bakery and people. That's one of the best ways I think for this community. So
But just the people. Yeah, there's a program. But he's not really far out.
I'm planning the office that the grant award. Put in some specific language to make sure that any public communication is coordinated with them. Once the contract is signed, we'll move towards that step and put that information together, run it by them, and then do the exact things that you're referencing.
we can help with it. This year we're in the valley, we don't have some offices. Yeah, that's our about 3 communication list. And here, bring it out, you get, look it out about the education.
I sent you the link to the survey, that's all I'm going to.
Nick, you have a card.
What's this?